let's get into it. Today, we're going to tackle something that is absolutely central to applied behavior analysis: writing goals. And I don't mean just any goals. We're talking about goals that are powerful, super precise, and most importantly, goals that actually create real, meaningful change. You know, it's the difference between just kind of hoping for progress and actually engineering it.
All right, let's just jump right in. You've probably seen goals like this one on the left, right? Improve communication. I mean, it sounds good, but what does that actually mean? It's so fuzzy. Now look over at the right. Whoa, that tells us exactly what to do, what to look for, when to look for it, how good it needs to be, the whole shebang. See the difference? One's a wish, the other is a roadmap.
So what's the secret sauce here? What's the magic recipe that turns that vague statement into a powerful, actionable plan? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down. And yeah, thinking of it like a recipe with a few crucial ingredients, that's the perfect way to look at it.
Okay, so before we jump into the actual recipe ingredients, we've got to lay the groundwork. You know, you can't build a house on a shaky foundation, right? Same thing here. A good goal is built on a couple of really core principles that make sure it's actually useful in the real world and not just a bunch of technical words on a page. First things first, the goal has to be observable. This is like rule number one. It's totally non-negotiable. Think about it. You can't measure an internal state like being respectful, right? How would you even do that? We can't see inside someone's head. But you absolutely can see and count a specific action, like keeping hands to self. The bottom line is, if you can't see it or hear it, you can't reliably track it. Simple as that. And that leads us right to the second foundation. It's got to be measurable. This is huge. This is how we stop guessing and start using real data. You have to ask yourself, can I count it? Can I put a stopwatch on it? Can I give it a score? If you can say yes to any of those, then congratulations, you've got a measurable goal. And that's how we know, for sure, if what we're doing is actually working.
But look, a goal can be perfectly observable and measurable and still kind of miss the point. A truly great goal goes beyond just the technical stuff. It has to be socially significant. You have to ask the big question. Does this actually improve this person's quality of life? Seriously. And you also got to make sure the stakeholders are involved. The client, the parents, the teachers, everyone needs to have a say, because at the end of the day, it's their life we're talking about.
All right, foundations are set. Now it's time for the main event. Let's get into the recipe itself, the 6 essential ingredients. I promise you, if you get these right, you are going to be writing killer goals every single time.
So here they are, all 6 laid out. This is our roadmap for the next few minutes. We're going to walk through each one, piece by piece, starting with number 1, the target behavior.
Okay, ingredient number 1, the target behavior. This is the what. Super simple. What is the exact action we want to see change? And remember our foundations. It has to be something we can see and measure. We need to define this with laser-like clarity.
And this comparison just nails it, doesn't it? Be good. What does that even mean? I mean, my definition of good is probably different from yours. But raise his hand before speaking? That's a physical action. It's totally unambiguous. Anybody watching can say, yep, that happened, or nope, it didn't. See? That specificity is everything.
All right, on to ingredient number 2, the conditions. This is all about the when and the where, because let's be real, behavior never happens in a vacuum, right? There's always a context. So we have to spell out the exact situation where we expect this behavior to occur.
We'll raise hand. Okay, that's a start. But when? Where? In the middle of a movie? While playing outside? No, right? By adding that little phrase, during group instruction, bam, now we have a practical, testable goal. Now we know exactly when to be watching for it and when to work on it.
Okay, this next one is a bit of a pro-level move, but it is so important. Ingredient number 3, spelling out the conditions where the behavior should not happen. This is all about teaching what we call discrimination. It's not just about knowing when to do something, but also, crucially, when not to.
And this example is just perfect for showing why this matters. It's about safety. We absolutely want a client to follow instructions from people they know and trust, right? Like their teachers or their parents. But do we want them to follow instructions from a total stranger? No way. So setting these kinds of limits isn't just good goal writing, it's a critical part of being thoughtful and ethical. Okay, so we've got the what, the when, and the when not. But how do we know when we're done? How do we know the skill is actually mastered? That's where ingredient number 4 comes in, the mastery criteria.
This is our finish line. It answers that all-important question, how good is good enough?
I mean, without this, we're just winging it. We'll follow directions is a hope. It's a wish. But saying in 80% of opportunities, and it has to happen for 5 sessions in a row, that's not a hope. That's a data-driven plan. It tells us the person can do the skill reliably and consistently, not just as a fluke.
You know, a skill isn't really mastered if it just vanishes the moment you stop working on it, or if it only works in one room, with one person. That's not real life. And that's why ingredient number 5 is so key. Maintenance and generalization. We need to make sure the skill sticks around for the long haul, and that it can travel to new places and with new people.
Think about it. If a skill only works in the therapy room, how useful is it, really? The whole point is for it to work everywhere, at home, at school, on a trip to the grocery store. When we plan for this stuff right from the beginning, that's when our work stops being an exercise and starts being truly functional and, honestly, life-changing.
All right, last but not least, ingredient number 6. Sometimes it's not enough to just know if something happened. We need a little more detail, and that's where we can add in other measurable dimensions. A great example is latency, which is just a fancy word for how fast someone responds.
And this shows you exactly why that can be so important. I mean, there's a huge difference between someone following a direction after you wait for 2 whole minutes versus them doing it within 6 seconds, right? Adding something like latency helps us measure true fluency. It's another layer of precision that can make all the difference.
Okay, phew. We've got all 6 of our ingredients on the counter. Now for the fun part. Let's put this whole recipe together and cook up the perfect goal.
And there it is, the magic formula that brings it all home. It's basically a fill-in-the-blanks template, isn't it? When this happens, the client will do that thing this well for this long. And of course, you can pop in that extra dimension if you need it. This little sentence structure packs in every single one of our ingredients. Pretty cool, right?
So why all this work? Why go to all this trouble to be so specific? Well, because this isn't just about checking a box or writing a technically correct sentence. This is the very foundation of good, ethical work. It really comes down to this. Clarity is kindness. And I really want to leave you with this final thought. Forget about just passing an exam for a second. How can writing a goal this clearly actually be an act of respect for the person you're trying to help? Because when we are this specific, we're basically making a promise. We're saying, hey, we're not guessing here. We have a clear plan. We know where we're going, and we respect you enough to be totally transparent about how we'll get there and how we'll measure success. In a world that can be so confusing, that kind of clarity, that's a powerful thing. Something to think about.